Okay, hey there everybody, here we are with Skyrim 2.22.22, which came out on February 22nd, 2022, and of course it's heavily modded with over 900 mods, I think, at least ESL files, from Forgotten Glories, living Skyrim 3, and then I added 7 mods on top of that I could get to work without causing any conflicts or any notable conflicts. So I call it Living Skyrim 3.7. Hope he doesn't mind. His mod is awesome. If you got downloaded, you should give it a shot. Maybe that's why you're watching this series. And we're going to look at the character creation today. It's not the episode that I started this series out with, because this isn't nearly as fun as just jumping into the awesome graphics and the gameplay and all of the other facets of Skyrim that Forgotten Glory, obviously not his real name, that he added to Skyrim, since we're not getting a Skyrim 2 or Elder Scrolls 6 for a while. At least we thought that we'd create this Skyrim 2.22.22 on February 22nd, and that's what you've been watching on this series so far. And this is a bonus episode where we're going to look at how much different the creation process is, and just how much different the start of this Living Skyrim 3.7 is, because instead of starting with that carriage ride, you jump right into the character creation set. Obviously, you're already seeing a big increase in graphics, so I'm going to walk through this process of creating the character, or roughly the character that went for the gameplay so far. Obviously, like every other red-blooded male in the world, I'm going to play as a hot woman. Let's see. And let's get right to the most important thing, right? Or should I say things, obviously. So you're just seeing all the body slide presentations here, which have just so much more control over everything that's important regarding her breastages, right? I'm not paying too much attention to head. Wow, I'm not paying too much attention to head, anyone, or face. But eyes are pretty important. After going through all of that, I decided that I liked shape 12 because they had some angularity to them, but kind of in a cool, sexy, almost infinity-like way, where it goes up and then down and curves up again. And they're also bigger, because one of the other things that I wanted to do was increase the size of her eyeballs. Not necessarily anime per se, but at least just a little bit more exaggerated than what you usually see. So then her size increases also because of that. And her eye size increases because of that, right? When you start doing that, her eyes need to be brought in just a little bit. Because she just starts to look a little bit weird. So then we just tighten that up just a bit. And then her eye color, I like 5. Just thought it wasn't in your face, but it was definitely, maybe it's not in your face, maybe it is. But you can see all of the control you have just over the eyes. The other thing that I really liked controlling is just making sure that, like every other part of her body, you can tell that her eyelashes are fake. These are some other things that aren't too important. I mean, I'm never going to say that mouth isn't important. So for her mouth shape, again, I like kind of this obvious curvature to her lips. And then because of that, I wanted to just drop her mouth down. This mouth is going down just a bit. So you can use that. I think there's a word for what that is, that piece of her body in between the bottom of her nose and the curvature of her top lip there, where you can, sip tequila out of or something. I guess the major change that I made with one of my 7 mod additions to Living Skyrim 3 was adding physics to the hair. I really wanted her to have hair that moved around when I moved around. And Living Skyrim, for some reason, didn't do that. Maybe because it was an enormous pain in the ass to get to work. But I was really motivated, probably more motivated than I should have been, about something in the scheme of things that wasn't really important. But I also spent a lot of time an embarrassingly large amount of time picking the hair that I really wanted, and ultimately ended up with this style. It's 903, because her ponytail sways to the left, sways to the right, does what it's supposed to do when you jump up and down. And actually, when you swing your sword or when you do a roll or something, it's random whether or not it's going to even lie over the front of her chest sometimes, All of that's really cool. It doesn't just stay at the back. You've seen some physics hairs maybe, or maybe you haven't. But there's a lot of physics hairstyles that even if it's kind of bobbing and swaying and moving, it never moves over her shoulder in a way that a ponytail this long would sometimes. Also important to me was the fact that these hair tendrils here, tendrils, is that a word? I know it's not testicles or tentacles, so I think it's tendrils, these hair testicles, that they were physics controlled too, right here. And this one going adoringly through her cheek, kind of like I'd like to, right? And then the hair color. My main concern with hair color was trying to find something that was going to be unique and easy to see in a crowd. I didn't like any of these really, mainly because they were all set presets, so I was bound to have somebody in the NPC world with all of these characters having it. So I went with this hair color gradient. And I'm just kind of making this up here because every time I've created this character to play with a little bit, it's always been slightly different, but kind of at least a little bit in the realm of copper. And I like there to be a little bit of a glow, but not too much of a glow. And the reason for that is the lighting. She carries a little lantern with her all the time, which is really awesome. But if her hair is too bright or luminescent or fluorescent, it really starts to look a little overlit when she has a light or goes into a really light spot. Obviously, you can see the glow of her cheeks. You can play around with her cheek, do all kinds of stuff that you couldn't do in vanilla Skyrim, all from the body slodification and Audition, which is a big part of a lot of mod packs that you see nowadays. Particularly plays just a really fun one in this one. I guess you can combine a Breton and a Dark Elf and start to see what it would look like, what your children would look like, right? If a Dark Elf and a High Elf got together behind the bleachers. And then you have this fun control over all these different expression controls. I'm not going to spend too much time going over any of this other stuff, but it's all pretty cool additional things that you can do, like body scales, beast if you decide that you want to have a tail, genitalia, right? Yikes. But ultimately, I think that's spending enough time just going over all of that. So then what you do is you finish and you name your character. I don't know if this is as clever as I think it is, but instead of being Dovahkiing, I'm going to be Dovahkiing. And that way when I get things addressed to Dovahkiing in the game, I can just assume that it's a typo and they left off the G, and then pretend that every correspondence is actually addressed to me, which is cool. So then I accept that. And then the game starts, right? And you immediately start getting all kinds of things happening on this mod pack. And one of the most important things to do is to let it all happen, right? So kind of check your swings, make sure that you're ready to punch some people in the guts. I said guts, mainly to keep the surprises, and there are a lot of them if you're really familiar with vanilla Skyrim, and I was, and then you start playing this. It's like playing an entirely new game almost, which is why I feel comfortable calling this Skyrim 2.22. I always add that last part too. It's not Skyrim 2. There is no such thing as a Skyrim 2. It would be Elder Scrolls 6. But given the fact that it launched on February 22nd, 2022, and that was literally a year in the decade, or in my lifetime, that I was going to have the opportunity to do something as clever as 11.11.11, which is when Skyrim launched. Bethesda? See, Bethesda? I can do it too. Yes, I would like to assign my attributes. Anyway, all this stuff is going up in the corner. All these mods are loading. Try not to look at any of them, then you won't really have any idea what's going to happen when you're playing and experiencing this new thing. Instead of handling it a little bit more under the covers or behind the curtain from vanilla Skyrim, it just puts it in your face and says, okay, set all of these kind of D&D attributes. So in order to make my life as easy as possible, which I'm a big fan of. I choose 30 here so that you have the maximum amount that you can say. And I want to be just as buff as possible, who doesn't, right? And I also want to be as smart as possible, who doesn't. And, you know, wisdom is a little overrated, but yeah, sure, I'll take 3 on that. Agility is pretty important, you know. I could go big on endurance for obvious reasons, right? But some of stuff, like, I make my own luck. Obviously, charisma is just out the window already, so but I'm harder than hell. So, fortitude, I think that means I can't carry anything, but I'm going to get a horse, and I'm going to have followers. I can't imagine playing this game without followers. They make it feel less lonely, right? And their chatter back and forth is fun and provides for a lot of fodder they can play off of. So it's like having a little gangbang, a little gang of followers. So then I accept that. And it's still loading the mod. You'll think that it's done loading these mods, and it simply won't be. So that's okay. There's other stuff that we can do in the meantime. We're going to take everything that is not nailed down, is the next part. This note from Forgotten Glory, he says hi, he introduces himself. I assume it's a he. I mean, let's be realistic, it's a he. Awesome mod, FG. Thank you very much. I hope you don't mind that I added 7 additional mods to it and I'm doing this series. Because, in all honesty, I couldn't have done it without you. I tried to create a mod list. I tried for weeks, and it felt like months to create a mod list that was 1/10 as cool as this and worked. And I couldn't make it 1/10 as good as this and work. I could either get one or the other. So ultimately, I just decided to piggyback on top of what was already just the most amazing mod list I'd seen, although I haven't seen very many, and then just add 7 that I thought aren't necessarily very important in the scheme of the world, right? I mean, that's first world problems right there. And then here's the alternate perspective, which is what we're going to talk to now, which is I've arrived in Helgen, so I'm in the Helgen Hotel. Do you call it a hotel in Helgen? Probably not. It's not, more like a motor lodge. A carriage lodge. That's what I'm in, the carriage lodge, the resting pilgrim. Basically what that's saying is if you choose the vanilla opening, you can do that, but why would you? I mean, right? Half the fun is having a good time. And one of the good times is having your start in this game be completely random. So you talk to this little cute dragon who's sitting on this little cute lantern. And I think all these loaded now. I think that's the last one. And I just choose absolute random. No idea where I'm going to end up. But I'm going to find out. And then you open this door and you jump into your adventure. Thanks for watching this bonus episode of the Character Creation. Back to our regularly scheduled programming.